Ranjani stormed out in anger and went to sit in the nearby park. She took out her phone and called her friend Bharath. He didn't answer at first, but after a while, he called her back. Bharath, please, wherever you are, come quickly to the park near my house, she said urgently. Why, Ranjani? What happened? Are you all right? Is there any trouble? He asked, concerned. Nothing to worry about, Bharath. I just feel like resting my head on your shoulder and crying a lot. Please come, she said. You need my shoulder just to cry? Why not use a rock or a wall and cry as much as you want? He joked. If you don't come, I'll bang my head on that rock and die, she threatened. Are you serious? Fine, I'm coming. Stay there, he said, cutting the call. Ranjani sat in the peaceful park, her eyes welling up with tears. But it wasn't just her anger toward her mother. It was a mix of many emotions. The first reason was guilt. She felt terrible for speaking so harshly to her mother. She had always loved her parents dearly. Even though they constantly argued with each other, they had always showered love on her. But as she grew older and began to understand the conflicts in her home, the love she had for her parents turned into frustration. They were too caught up in their own bitterness to notice how lonely she felt. The second reason was Smriti's separation from Tanuj. It had deeply hurt Ranjani, as she had always been close to her father, and his absence left a void in her heart. The third reason was her own anger toward herself. She despised the fact that she had let hatred grow in her heart to the extent that she couldn't even attempt to forgive her parents for their mistakes. Carrying all these burdens, at that moment, she felt that Bharath was the only person who could understand her pain and comfort her. Bharath was a cheerful guy, fair-skinned and well-built. He and Ranjani had studied in the same college. Though they were in different departments in their engineering course, they often crossed paths in the college canteen. This went on for a few months until one day, Bharath finally mustered the courage to talk to her. From then on, their friendship grew, and eventually, it turned into love. Bharath knew all about Ranjani's life. She often shared her personal struggles with him, venting out her frustrations. Bharath had always been her pillar of support during tough times. He had become the companion in her lonely life, rekindling the love she thought she had lost. She trusted him completely. Bharath arrived at the park and went up to Ranjani, who was sitting on a bench. He hugged her from behind. Why does my flower look so wilted? Let me kiss it and bring it back to life, he said flirtatiously. His words melted her sorrow. Whether it was his embrace or his words, something brought her a sense of peace. Which movie dialogue is that? She asked, making him sit beside her. Resting her head on his shoulder, she closed her eyes. You think I can't write poetry? Don't you trust me that much? He teased. I trust you. That's why I love you. Now, stop talking. Just stay quiet. Let me sleep like this for a while, she said. For a few moments, they remained silent. Then Bharath finally broke it. Ranjani, did you have another fight at home? He asked. Yes, I ended up saying hurtful things to Mom, she admitted, sitting up straight. You and your mom, both of you are one-of-a-kind masterpieces, he laughed. She playfully smacked his head. Shut up. What else can I say? You hesitate to apologize to your mom while your parents are suffering in their own ways because of their misunderstandings. You're hurting by watching them suffer, and I'm hurting watching you suffer. Bharath, what do you expect me to do? I love my parents as much as I resent them. They didn't even consider their only daughter's feelings before making selfish choices. How is that fair? She asked. Ranjani, I've been meaning to say this for a while. It'll take at least a couple of months for you to start your job. I also need some time. Instead of wasting it, why don't we use it to bring your parents back together? Bharath, please stop. Why are you joking about this? That will never happen. They will live their lives that way, and I have to live mine like this. There is no solution to my problem, she said. Ranjani, the greatest joy in this world is making the impossible possible. All this philosophical talk is only nice to read in books, not in real life, she replied. Ranjani, tell me one thing. Bharat took a deep breath and asked. If the sun stopped sending its rays to Earth, wouldn't all life, including you and me, die in just a few days? Yes, if there is no sunlight, plants won't perform photosynthesis, and we will suffer from an oxygen shortage and die, Ranjani answered. Now tell me, how big are we in this vast universe? Smaller than a speck of dust, she replied. Then how big is your problem in comparison? Bharat asked, making her momentarily speechless. See, this is the truth of the universe. In the grand scheme of things, we are smaller than a grain of sand. So tell me, how big is your problem now? He said. What you're saying is true, but how will you solve my problem? Haven't our elders said, where there's a will, there's a way? That's why it's important to read books now and then, he teased. I want to see them together again. Only then will my anger towards them fade. I have a crazy desire to get back all those beautiful moments I lost over the years, she confessed. All right, let's do something about it. Come here, he said, pulling her close and letting her rest on his shoulder. Bharat, where did you learn all these things? Since when did you start reading books? I haven't read any books, dear. When you called, I was watching a movie in the theater. There was a scene with all this philosophical talk, so I just repeated it neatly here, he laughed. You're impossible, she said, hugging him even tighter.